I think when I started acting professionally and when I had Beyond the Clouds, my first film, a very big
Yeah,
moment to share with my family, with my mother, with my brother. But
yeah.
I think something very beautiful started in that moment
Mhm. Yeah,
when I kind of was born as an actor in front of him, because I think if I can speak for him here, I think
yeah.
he had a he was, I think, more nervous about it than me. Yeah, we're lucky to have each other for sure. I'm very
And
lucky to have him for sure. I don't know how he feels, but yeah. Sometimes it's more interesting for people, unfortunately, what you're doing on
yeah,
a day off than what you're doing, when you're working. And so
yeah,
much of what we do when we work, we also work with under silence. At least I like to, that
yeah.
you don't make too much of a shusha about it.
By balance, do you mean that, you don't actively want to hide things, but you don't want to go to town with it? That's the thin line. But you know that I'm living my life. You take my pictures, you take my videos. I'm not saying anything, but that's the fine line that you want to tread.
Get out of my head. Yeah, you got it right. Yeah, that's
All right, hello and welcome to News 18 Showsha. Today I have with me an actor who's not only oscillating between Bollywood, Hollywood, and OTT, but is also on an audio medium right now, voicing a very, very interesting character. It is none other than Ishaan Khatter. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ishaan.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Shreyanka.
Ishan, tell me, voicing an actor like young Ravana, that requires, a bit of a, because it's a role that completely relies on your voice. It's very interesting, and also it requires a bit of understanding of mythology. So, how did you kind of prepare for this role?
I have to first of all admit that my knowledge of mythology is as pedestrian as it gets, right? I have grown up hearing the stories, as we all have.
Yeah,
Our grandparents and our families, our parents, uncles and aunts. It's just a part of your DNA by the time you're an adult, in
yeah,
our country, in our setup, and
yeah,
so for me, I think one of the more fascinating things was the aspect of the story of Ravan that they decided to focus on was
yeah,
the story of young Ravan becoming the warrior king and
yeah,
finding his feet and becoming, the image that we have of Ravan. It's the evolution of him till that point, and that's what um, takes precedence in this story. And so that was very interesting and new to me already, and I thought that's something that I'm sure people will be interested um, to hear, because for me it was a discovery as well. And it was definitely a task to bring that evolution about just with the voice, because as I think everything that I've done as an actor in some way or the other prepared me um, for this. But what it didn't prepare me for was the various dimensions of voice acting.
yeah, yeah,
Not just dialogue and conveying character and emotion, but also there are many action sequences in
yeah,
this. And
yeah,
to bring that feeling and that
yeah.
visceral quality just with your voice, it's like,
Yeah,
how do you prepare for that? Nothing prepares
must
you for
be.
that. It's
Yeah,
just you look like a crazy person in a room just going like
yeah,
but
yeah,
but it's all an effort to find that feeling that
yeah,
can stimulate your imagination as a viewer,
yeah, yeah,
so that was fun. That was new.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And speaking of acting, you're also in The Perfect Couple, which stars none other than Nicole Kidman. So how is it, on sets with an actress that big? Is it creatively very fulfilling, or is it just plain intimidating?
um no, it's certainly like, you know in many ways this job feels like
Yeah,
realizing a dream, especially if you've grown up wanting to do this. So
yeah,
moments like that definitely feel part surreal, part, like, pinch me moments and all of that.
yeah,
But I think I've always had, I I'm not boasting here, and I'm not like being at all pompous in any way, but somehow I've always had a quality to separate that from when I'm working, when I'm on set,
Okay.
because we're all doing the same. We're all there to make the scene work,
Yeah.
and to make this story come to life, and that can sometimes come in the way. So it's not a conscious thing, but
Yeah.
I don't think I ever get negatively intimidated. Like I only get, if anything, like I get this feeling of like pull your socks up and
Yeah.
slightly more, like
Like I have to do
slightly
better.
more involved, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe slightly more involved or excited, anything
Yeah.
that can bring you to a place where you're constantly excited and stimulated will help you
Yeah.
focus. And I think
Yeah.
um that's the great privilege we have in the work that we do, that you get to
Yeah.
do what you're passionate about, right? So moments
Yeah.
like these, of course, things like these are great motivators, but at the end of the day, like that alone is not um the you know end outcome for you to have a satisfying day or not. A satisfying day at work is if you feel like you went out there and were able to achieve something that maybe you have even surprised yourself, and maybe
Yeah.
surprised, the people you're working with, and hopefully feel like it's coming to life what you're doing,
Yeah.
and that is the beautiful part of what we do. So um yeah, I am very grateful for all the opportunities so far.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of being associated with good actors, how can we forget your dear brother, Shahid Kapoor? And you like, what is it like with him? Do you guys like kind of, and especially coming from that family, of so many talented people, is it a bit of pressure on you? Do you feel that pressure, or as a, and I'm only talking about Shahid here, or as a brother, you guys kind of feed off each other's creativity? Do you exchange creative notes? Does he have a say on which film you should do, on which directors you should work with? What is it like?
I really like the way you put that. I think it's a very nice question, but the
Thank
way
you.
you expressed feed off each other's creativity, I think that's something that we don't often pay heed to, but that definitely happens. When you're in a
Right?
family, and when you, yeah,
Yeah.
and I know this. I mean, I obviously had many years of watching him from the wings, and learning,
Yeah. Yeah.
vicariously learning. But I think when I started acting professionally, and when I had Beyond the Clouds, my first film, a very big
Yeah.
moment to share with my family, with my mother, with my brother. But
Yeah.
I think something very beautiful started in that moment
Mhm. Yeah.
when I kind of was born as an actor in front of him, because I think, if I can speak for him here, I think
Yeah.
he had a he was, I think, more nervous about it than me, because I obviously had done the work, and I lived with it, and
Plus, it is
I had
Magic
my own.
Magazine. It's like it's dream for anyone. It's just too
Yeah,
big.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course, but what I mean is, I think when he was watching it, he was more nervous because you can prepare all you want, and you can
Yeah.
work and and
Yeah.
and learn as much as you can, but this is the kind of profession where, till you've seen it and till you've done it, you don't know if
Yeah.
you've got the chops, and you've got. So
Yeah.
I think he didn't know what to, and I think his nervousness was more about, like, like, because it's such a personal attachment, and I'm his young chota
Yeah.
bhai, that like,
Yeah.
what will I have to, will I have to come to terms with the fact that he's not got the chops, or.
Yeah.
So I think he was very relieved when he saw Beyond the Clouds, and
Yeah.
something very beautiful started that day, where I think we
Yeah.
did start feeding off of each other's creative
Yeah.
energies. And yeah, and I won't like to say much more than that, because it's a very beautiful thing that I don't think we also always talk about too much, but we both know that it's there, and and of course, for me, he's been like a mentor, and, like, like a somebody I've learned with, like a teacher. But
Yeah.
that's what's beautiful about what we do, is that it anyone can teach you. You can watch a child doing something beautiful,
Absolutely.
and it can just inspire something,
Yeah.
ignite something inside you. So yeah, we're lucky to have each other for sure.
Yeah.
I'm very
And you
lucky to
know,
have him for sure. I don't know how he feels, but yeah,
why is
yeah.
there a doubt there?
That you'll have to ask him.
Right. And also, when it comes to commercial films, we've seen that you cherry pick your roles, so has has there ever been like a FOMO, as the Gen Z would say, like, I could have done that film, or that role, I could have done that better. Have you ever had that feeling with any film, that you think that, okay, I must have missed out on that?
Uh, not so much, to be honest. Not so much. I mean, if you don't end up doing something, often it has been that something has come to me. Either I've humbly bowed out or it's not worked out, and then it comes out and somebody else has done it. If it's something that you've not done, then it was never yours. It was not meant to be. So it's like, you know,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about though, where you feel like, oh man, had I that opportunity, like for
Yeah.
sure. And obviously you feel that, and it's in a healthy way, not in a way that
Yeah.
like, damn it, why didn't I get that? It's more of a, yaar, aisa kuch mil jaye to,
Have you had
um,
that feeling about a role of late in recent times?
uh, not so much. I'm thinking about this film that I saw recently called Triangle of Sadness. I
Oh,
actually rewatched it recently. I'd seen it before. Sometimes
okay.
you see something that is made, from
Yeah.
another country, another, like a different context
Yeah.
entirely also, and you feel like, man, had there been something like that to chew into, it would have been
Yeah.
so much fun. So, yeah, maybe that, but no, I don't think it's that as much as it is craving the opportunity um, to showcase the facets that you have as a performer.
Yeah.
um yeah, that's more that I feel more often, that like, I hope that something I'm able to find something where I can satisfy this expression in me as an actor. Like there's something that I need to say, there's
Yeah.
something I need to let out, and
Yeah.
it is an outlet in many ways what we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you know uh it's all about timing, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of good luck and good fortune involved in these things. So yeah.
And also, being choosy about out and out commercial films, is that a conscious call?
No, not at all. I mean, also the definition of what is commercial, it keeps changing, I
It's
feel,
subjective. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it keeps changing because whatever
Yeah.
does well is commercial, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's
So
yeah.
I think I definitely want to find that relationship with the audience where I begin to understand how they like to see me. And that's something every artist must find. And I think that's what keeps it interesting and engaging over a long period of time. And so so yeah, I mean, that's my effort. You won't always get the opportunity that is ideal at the right time. Sometimes you have to take a gamble on something. Most often you take a gamble
Yeah.
on something and you have to make it work, or you have to get it close to that, and you have to, so that's the idea, and that's what I'm learning more and more as I go.
Yeah.
That it's more important to be proactive, and you got, everything is a gamble, even if you feel
Yeah.
surer about something, it is still a gamble,
Yeah.
because you're not the only
Yeah.
person in control of the outcome. So
Absolutely. Yeah. There's so
so
many
the more you
factors
realize that,
involved. Yeah.
totally, so the more you realize that, the more it frees you up a little bit as well, which I
Yeah.
feel like has started happening with me more now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there a director
Yeah.
on the wish list?
Right on the wish list. Yeah, there's so many. So many. There are many directors on the wish list. I just saw Killers of the Flower Moon yesterday. Wish list. I won't even say it. It feels like, like chota muh badi baat, but why not? And so many other,
Yeah.
filmmakers that one loves and admires. I
Yeah.
was with Zoya, who's a lovely, lovely person, dear friend, yesterday, who I think is an
Yeah.
incredible filmmaker who
Yeah.
I would love to work with. So
All right.
yeah.
Yeah. And one last question on a lighter vein, as an actor, you're always kind of under scrutiny, not just for your work, but also your personal life? Does that affect you, or have you kind of, because you've been around for a while now, have you made peace with that? When the pack videos are out, or the pictures are out, or such like, does it affect you, or do you think like, okay, this is part and parcel
Mm.
of my profession, and you just see it and you move
It
on?
is. It is,
Yeah,
of course it is. I mean, the sooner you realize that, the better it is
yeah,
for you.
yeah,
But I try not to get affected too much by it. The thing that I like to focus on is that it doesn't change me as a person,
true.
because I've also got to live my life,
Yeah,
and it definitely makes me hold on to things that are personal, closer to me, and keep them. It's your prerogative to be private about your life, and sometimes people can push it a bit far or be snoopy and all of that, and
yeah,
that it just comes with the profession, and it's become the way it is now. You can't step out without being seen, and
without being
whether
seen, of
whether
course.
you like it or not,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
so
yeah,
it sometimes it's more interesting for people, unfortunately, what you're doing on
yeah,
a day off than what you're doing, when you're working. And so
yeah,
much of what we do when we work, we also work with under silence. At least I like to, that
yeah,
you don't make too much of a shusha about it.
yeah,
Having said that, like, you learn to navigate it your own way, and you
yeah,
learn to find your balance. And I'm finding that, and I think, yeah, I don't get too caught up by it anymore.
yeah.
Naturally, it affects you. It'll affect you, but in whatever way, every little thing that you
Yeah.
experience affects you
Right.
in some way. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, Ishan,
but
that's
it's
it.
not like
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm so sorry. You're saying
uh,
something. Yeah. You're saying something.
I was
I
saying
cut.
I was saying, like, I
But
mean,
do you do
it's really
by balance, I'm just thinking aloud. By balance, do you mean that, you don't actively want to hide things, but you don't want to go to town with it? That's the thin line. But that I'm living my life. You take my pictures, you take my videos. I'm not saying anything, but that's the fine line that you want to tread.
get out of my head. Yeah, you got it right. Yeah, that's pretty
Right.
much it. You know.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Ishan, thank you so much. It's been so lovely speaking to you. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
Thank you so much.
Likewise.
I wish you all the best for your future
Thank you.
endeavors. Thank you so much.